Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Hey, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing tonight? Yeah, let's see what we got going on. Been out all day, so haven't been paying much attention here. Just have, stop set, take profit order set, and then we move on with things, right? We set alerts, we do things like that, so allows you to still live life and not have to just stare at the charts all day, right? But either way, that being said, let me drop the sound a little bit here and the music. Okay. Alright, so what we're looking at here on Bitcoin is basically, this big Gartley bat that we've been watching for the past, days, right? How long has this been in development? Basically, this has been in development since March 28th. So that basically took 9 days and basically 10 days to play out on a 4-hour chart. So this is a low time frame. I mean, significant, decently significant, but still low time frame overall if you're talking about, daily, weekly, monthly stuff. But 4-hour makes significant moves. As you can see, this has already been a significant change in price. 11% move already. Basically, so what happened last night, last time we looked at this, is we were basically in this area here. We had just broken the previous C high, which was basically right there, right? We kind of had broken out right here at 59.2. Well, what happened first is that 58.4 gave, right? As soon as 58.4 gave, we said if we lose it, we go back down, we square up. If we hold it, and we held it and ran up again, and that's your kind of confirmation there. Then you went all the way up and you hit the first target. If we zoom in on that, you can see that we hit some take profit fills on this. Okay, so if you had some orders sitting here, you grabbed a couple of them, took profit, and that came all the way back down here and allowed you to just stack that little bit back on. I know it seems kind of devastating-ish, but look at that follow through price action. You know what I mean? We got bought right back up, and all you did was really, you just kind of came over here and squared up, back tested this previous area, you know? That was once that 84 again. Wow, 38 38 58 4. Excuse me. Jeez. Okay. So you back tested that area, squared it up, and then immediately it just got bought up. That's what happened down here, right? As soon as we hit our target area, see how it just was getting bought up dramatically. The bears could not push below that area. Same thing as it got back down to this previous area that was critical resistance prior to. That area just immediately got bought up. So it was kind of in there, right? You barely wicked to the top of it, bought right back up. So what's happening now is we're continuing to play out on this pattern. I seriously doubt that let's see, what did we get here? Okay, so you came up, you back tested this previous area that was target 1, right? So as we were coming, target 1 on this low time frame structure. So you would have had 3 targets here. You would have had this target, which would have been the C. We'll make that green. So you would have had a target 1 there. So you basically hit target 1, and then you engulfed above it, and you back tested target 1, and now have held that as support. Target 2 would have been the A. Okay, so again, you went up, hit target 1, hit target 2, and target 3-ish area is 1272 to 618 overhead fibs. So watch, from the A high to the D low, you hit the 1272. See that? So our third kind of top of this area we wanted to be layered out here was between the 1272 and the 1618. See that? So now that we've hit these targets, are kind of irrelevant now. Target low time frame, target 1 and 2. Okay, those are irrelevant. Next thing we want to do is basically, if we could hold this line here, right? So we got to hold this line. Your stop at this point, if you entered down here, now that we've created an area, back tested it, you could bring a stop up here into profit, right? So if you're still in a long from the initial entry area here, say that was your long entry zone here, your stop is now in profit. Does that make sense? So when before your stop was the previous actually I don't even do it like that. When before your stop was below this previous X point, right? So, and your entry was here, and now that price has ran away from entry, created a new area of SR flip, basically, right? It's almost SR flipping the C high pivot up here. So as you got that support resistance flip, you first could have bring your stop up to break even, okay, earlier. As we were up here, this was a break even stop, okay? Now that you've found this area, go ahead and now you bring this trade up and you put that stop up here, okay? So now, no matter what happens to you, you've made a 3%, okay? I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, couple points on the leverage scale, and you know that goes up real quick. Again, don't be greedy on that stuff. By a couple points, I didn't mean 30. I meant like 2 or 3 or 4, right? Like 4x leverage, 3%, that's 12%, right? Just to the stop out. You're up way more than that to the current price, right? If you bought in even here at this double bottom, you're actually up 8%, 7.5%, 8%, right? So at 4x leverage, 24, 25%. You see what I mean? If this fails and all hell breaks loose, you just get stopped out around, 10, 12% up, and we reevaluate. It's not the end of the world. As this gets up here, what we're looking for basically is We want price to, maybe you get a back test here, maybe not. You don't have to. That's not mandatory at this point because you already kind of did it. You know what I'm saying? You don't need it again. You can, but you don't need it. This could just go up, and what you really need to do, you'll hit this high kind of 3 times. Remember, kind of rule of 3. That'll be once, twice. You back test it again, or you fail again, but then you kind of break it on this 3rd time, and that's where you're going to kind of look to maybe hold a little bit and then run that high. So ultimately, we're still looking for 63,000 in the short term. Okay, this is not the daily or anything, right? So on the daily, we have a higher target, that 69,000 area, but you know, one step at a time, right? First, we got to claim 63, and we're going to reject it probably the first time. So we got to come back, hold some of this previous areas, and then reset, run again. This is where when you get this sell off right here, this one, when you get this high and you claim and you hit these highs, okay, and then when you sell off right here, ideally what you end up doing is you stop somewhere, okay, and what happens there is from your previous lows over here to now where you stop, you end up putting in a hidden bullish divergence there, and that's how you get that continuation again. You just kind of have to chop here and range a little bit. You have to just chop here, range a little bit, create that hidden bull, and then you'll go again. That hidden bull always wrecks everybody. They think this is the top, and it's not. It's just not. Top's up here somewhere, okay? Excuse me. Alright, sorry. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, we're still targeting that 68, 69 range, okay? And what we mean by all this here is on this lower time frame structure. See this previous X out here in space, our previous all-time high here? Okay, so if I were that all-time high, we'll make that that pink there. So you see how we need to come up here, we're rejecting below it once and probably again, but eventually we're gonna get it. We're gonna create some kind of, I don't know, maybe upsloping triangle here, and I don't know, we gotta sweep that though. We just gotta sweep it. We have to get rid of that to maintain the bullish trend, right? Once we sweep it, you could come back, and what you're gonna back test is, see from this A to this C right here, almost to this other C right here, all of these top of these harmonics, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then technically this back test here, 5. All that's your previous resistance is finally now support one time. Let's hold it a second time, and then we rally, and then when we come back and touch it that 3rd time, that's when you fail. But touch 1 and touch 2 are support. Touch 3 we have to be concerned with, okay? So that's down the road though. We're not worried about that right this very moment. So that all being said, long story short there, we are heading to, more than likely, and it might even happen tonight, because this is the 4 hour, okay? So this, yeah, well, it's decently significant in time. It also plays out in, you know, like we said, this entire pattern was what, 10 days or something? So, well, that wasn't, you know, a scalp or a day trade, you know, 10 days, you know, it seems like eternity when you're holding the trade, but really it wasn't that long of a time, okay? So, right now, we don't worry about that. Stop is brought up, so stop loss is currently around, you know, we're basically, remember that previous 58.4? We're basically using that 58.4 as protection. Our stop is below the 58.4, okay? Make sense? We're holding at target 1 on the low time frame. We're holding that. We've already hit target 2, so now we're looking for basically the fibs, right? The overhead fibs. So as we go and fib into space, you can see this 1414 and this pink line coming from that all-time high are right in that same pocket there. So that area right there is what we need to break. And when we break it, we're gonna come up and we're gonna hit it, and then we're gonna just send it right through it. Okay, hold it, fail, and that's where we maybe sell back off, right? But we're gonna get it. I would say we're gonna get it based on what we're seeing right now. This Gartley doesn't fuck around. Okay, this Gartley and that 1618, they fit together. Okay. Moving along, 4-hour Ethereum chart. Okay, whoops, sorry, wrecked us. ETHUSDT. Okay. 4-hour ETH chart. We are basically approaching the area, similar areas that we just talked about on Bitcoin, right? You're looking at another Gartley type of situation where targets 1 and 2 have been hit, and on this one they were extremely close. Target 1 would have been right there, which was the previous, C high anchor point would have been target 1, basically 21.25, and the A high target 2 is 21.50. See that 21.50? Okay, so we've hit those last night. I'm pretty sure it was last night. Went up, hit them, and almost hit that 1272, just like Bitcoin, right? So look, from the A high on April 2nd to the D low on April 7th, we reached that 1272. So again, a lot of times you guys will hear me say, okay, target's 1272, front run it, make sure you get filled. Target's 1618, let's front run it a little bit, make sure we get filled. This is why. If you would have put it right on the 1272 and just had one single bid, one single take profit order there, look at what would have happened. Do you know what I mean? You would have been short by like almost nothing here. It stopped at 2200 on the dot, and you would have had price at 2204. So who would go above 2200? You would always front run 2200. Psychological, right? So you got to think logically when you're placing some of these. I'm not giving you specific exact dollar amounts ever. We call these pattern reversal zones or pattern completion zones, right? It's a zone that we layer in a zone, right? It's not a specific dollar amount. Up here it goes the same thing, right? We should have a zone that we layer out, right? So that's kind of what's going on here. That being said, all we did was the same thing on Bitcoin, and it's always because of Bitcoin. We had this just nastiness. If you were looking at this on a low time frame, it probably looks devastating. But for us, we had a plan, right? We didn't care about this. All we did was SR flip. Sorry, I don't like that. That's not straight. SR flip, holding it as support. If we were a stop loss, we would have started back here, right? If I was a stop loss, I started back there because your Ethereum entry, and I know some of you guys are still holding this, your Ethereum entry was in this zone, right? The 786. So even it might have even been better than that. Okay, so if you filled here, boom, 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 filled, price runs away from entry, stop then eventually moves up to entry, right? Excuse me. Alright, sorry guys, down here. Alright, stop moves up from entry to now the D because price has ran away from you. It's consolidated up here at the square up, and it's holding, and then it ran. That's that area that's always critical because times you'll lose it. You will see yourself lose it. Just like you did up here. Look, you ran away from it, you consolidated at like the resistance up here, and then you lost it. Well, that could have happened right here. You could have had wham, wick right back down to this area and double bottomed at the entry. So many times you'll see that. Where this runs up, hits, barts down and then goes back up, right? So that's what happened here. You went, hit, barted down, and then you went right back up. So that's exactly what you did at this point that we were concerned with here. So you just always got to be careful. So what I had told you guys the other night was, look, this happened. We were seeing low time frame, bear div, so we had to be careful. I told you guys, if you're over leveraged, bring your stop up to where this price action was happening. And if you got hit, whatever, okay, whatever. That's the game. That's a price you pay for playing with high leverage, okay? For us swing trading, harmonics, high leverage and harmonic swing trading, they don't equal, okay? I'm gonna tell you guys right now, if you're following my harmonic setups on high time frames and you're high leverage trading, you might as well just exit the Discord. You know what I mean? Because you're not playing the game right. You're playing the game your way, the greedy way. You're trying to cheat. You're trying to cut corners. You're trying to get gains too fast. You're trying to do all the things that are going to get you busted up. And I'm sure you're already feeling those effects, right? So you got to cut that shit out now, because it's not going to work. And then you're going to be all sad at everybody else when really it's your fault. So I'm telling you right now, don't say you weren't told and be like, oh, you never told me. I'm telling you right now, swing trading, harmonic swing trading on high significant time frames and high leverage do not equal. Recipe for disaster. Get out of there. So if you were a low leverage guy, like probably about 40% of you are I could tell. So you guys are the ones that have been sitting comfortable through this the whole way, not worrying. You've been sleeping good all week. You've been, just printing money, low stress, living life, not checking the chart every 5 minutes. Like, who's winning, right? Who's actually winning there? Mr. 50X or Mr. 5X? Who's winning? I mean, I'm gonna say 5X guy's winning all day. And if I was betting and gonna hand somebody my money to trade for me while I was gone, on vacation for 6 months, it'd be Mr. 5X, not Mr. 50X. Okay, so think about that a little bit, right? Okay, what are we doing here? We're gonna hit these targets. That's what we're doing. We are going to layer out in this whole zone here. 70% of my bag from down here is coming off. All right, so we're taking profit. Why? Because we're going to hit critical, not only all-time highs, we're going to be in blue sky breakout, and we're going to be hitting between the 1272 and the 1618. Okay, could even, I don't know if I didn't hit the top on that. There we go. Okay, so 1272 between 2210 and the 1618 between 2280 on ETH. Are we still going to see 2,500 on ETH up here? Yeah, probably so. But that, there's going to be a pullback, okay? You're going to come up here, you're going to get these targets, but you're going to dump, okay? So you don't want to hold that one. Then you could get your 2,500, all right? You see this right here? Again, we just talked about it. You run up, you hit your targets, you chop, and then you sell off. Okay, so we gotta watch for that again. And here is not really when it should have happened. It's here when it should happen. So again, the market is not rational, right? It's irrational, but we're playing the game pretty conservatively here, okay? So we're attempting to create a new top of a range at a critical fib level, overhead resistance. By the time we get there, we should see divergence. And it's been a target of our trade plan for weeks, right? By the time we get there, how long has this been in development, right? So say we get up here and it's around this area. That puts us at 11 days. 11 days we've been in this plan, okay? So plan is 2,200, 20 to 2,300. Layer, take profit. Next, Litecoin. Litecoin sent it last night, okay? So look at this. We finally, this lagger, man. It's been lagging, but it always does this. It lags, but it still makes its way there. Just, slow and steady wins the race, right? So what did we have here? We had a low on price, a higher low on price, higher low on price, higher low on price, continuing to print higher lows. We have a trend line that's raising, excuse me, in just its verticalness, right? It's starting to get parabolic. Again, this trend line just keeps going up and up and up, right? Parabolic trend line. We put our parabolic curve on it, and we basically just see that Litecoin has, taken off. Okay, so what's our target? Our target area comes from down here. Okay, it's the structure that was created here, this kind of inverse head and shoulders low structure. And look, I'm not at the bottom. I could go to the bottom, yes. Why don't I? I do sometimes, but Litecoin being a lagger, I just, I wanted to just be a little more conservative. So maybe I went like right here. Okay, it's still good. It's 40%. All right, we don't need to get any more greedy than that. Okay, so you bring that up here, you fit this in, and that's basically how we're getting this take profit area. Okay, I even was more conservative than that. Okay, so basically 288. Price is currently at 250-ish. Anyways, so what else is that target area? We're gonna fib from our previous swing high on February 19th to the X swing low February 28th, Duck's birthday. And this target basically is a 141. Whoops, excuse me. Let me bring this down even a little more. 1414. So again, what did we say? We don't want to put it right on the 14. Let's go a little bit in front of that. So maybe we target 280, 282, right? Let's make sure we get a fill. Again, you don't need to get all the way up here because sometimes you don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Okay, I like getting filled. I like taking mine off the table. Nobody ever went broke taking profit. Okay, people went broke getting greedy, not taking profit, and then getting rugged. Okay, and look, I'm gonna be selling, and so are other people. So you're risking getting rugged on. See, this is what I mean by rug right here. Wham. Okay, so you want to see that happen to you right here? Wham. You give it all the way back? See, that's half your gains, right? You're giving the other half up when you could have just locked them in. Up here, lock it in. Okay, what else is going to happen to Litecoin here? Probably we're going to harmonic. And again, what is a harmonic? Okay, it's a reversal pattern. So if you're at the top and you paint a harmonic at a critical 1618 fib level, that's how trends reverse. You know what I'm saying? So this is first going to hit this 1272. Okay, 1414. We already hit the 1272. The 1272. Oh no, we haven't, but we're about to hit the 1272, which is right there at the 1272 is at 272. Fucking kidding me? Okay, that's the kind of shit that freaks me out sometimes. Okay, so the 1.272 is at 272. If you want to talk about harmonics and harmony, okay, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about right there. How did we paint a 1272 at 272? Okay, that's market makers just fucking with you now. And if you know, right, real ones know. That's them telling us, okay, boys, you're gonna get 1272 at 272. That's basically them telling each other like, we're a go here to 1272 minimum. Okay, that's what they were trying to say. Let's break it, let's back test, hold it, and let's send it. Break, hook, and go. Bolkowski pattern. Encyclopedia of a trading pattern. Write that down. All right, moving along. Jesus, this is that Binance sucker we've been watching. No, I don't like any part of this. Look, okay, we just saw this on Litecoin, right? So yeah, here's your break, hook, and go of that previous huge neckline. Okay, so you got the break, hook, and go. You came up, you consolidate at resistance, you break it, paint a symmetrical triangle neutral pattern, you hit its target, you retrace, square up, reset, come back, square up the top side, right? See that? So symmetrical triangle, breakout, square back up these areas. Basically it was this previous high. You now flipped it, SR flip right here, tweezer double bottom, symmetrical triangle again, breakout, square up top side, bullish engulfing. Now you're basically running and you're flagging again at the top. This flag, again, what do we say? Symmetrical triangles are neutral. So this pattern has a measured move both ways, okay? So what's gonna happen here is this thing is going to print like this, and you're either gonna get it to the top side and you're gonna sweep the highs and you're gonna put in another all-time high, or you're gonna get it to the bottom side, which this is my bet at this point, and this is the start of it, okay? Which what will this be telling us at that point is that the high was in up here. Look at this 4 hour, look at that top, okay? So you had a high, a higher high, and then a lower high, right? So it's like a swing high failure, symmetrical triangle painting, breakout to the bottom side, hit a square up, previous area that was once resistance, maybe you could flip it as support. So if you can do that, you're basically at 420 again on Binance Coin, okay? So what would be happening? You'd start to be painting some kind of harmonic, right? X, A, you see this back test? I'm looking at this back here. You see this line that the harmonic's making? Okay, that's why I painted the B where I painted it. XAB, you come back up, again you fail, put in a lower high, and then you go down, you hit target 1, paint some kind of harmonic. Once you do that, price allows you to run back up, and again on a higher time frame daily structure, that's when you would create the double top potentially, right? And then you run again to the bottom side if the top is in, and you're basically topping out at 500. Could the top be in at 500? Absolutely. I mean, just, man, I don't know, it feels just like the other day this thing was 20 bucks. You know what I mean? So 500, it's like, Jesus, take some profit, people. This was 20 bucks the other day. Not the other day, but like in my world the other day. All right, so what am I looking at here? Before we look at those targets, let's see why do we think this is it, okay? For one, check this out. From the previous swing high, all-time high, previous all-time high at 350 to the previous swing low discernible at 185 down here, we went up and we hit this 1618. Now, yes, did we exceed it? We did, but I'm going to show you something with these certain type of patterns, okay? So this one, it's like a butterfly, like a crab, right? Because they have 1618 targets. X, A, put in the B high, B swing high, retrace 786. Then you put in the 618, 786 again. And this is where you got the 1618, okay? So 1618 was right. Mouse is so sensitive. Right there, 1618. Okay, so people are like, oh, well, it went past it a little bit, you invalidated. Okay, so a couple things on that. The invalidation point is much higher than right at its entry, you know what I mean? Invalidation point, in my opinion, would be here, like 540. See, so we rejected 500, but we should have like a 540, 545 stop. And that would make sense because on a target area, you know, entering here, having a stop up there, we'd be targeting these targets, okay? So if you're targeting this back bottom here, you know, it's something like that, right? So what I wanted to show you real quick is the difference between something like this where you have this X, A, B, C, D 1618. So when you have a harmonic that looks like this, versus when you have a harmonic that basically is a Gartley, you're kind of doing this. So you paint a 618, a 786, and then a 786 again. Sorry. Okay, so let me zoom in on this. Okay. So what the difference here is something kind of significant, okay? So if you notice, the Gartley over here on the right, it stays within a range, okay? So the A bottom of the range and the X being the top of the range. You see how this Gartley is, the C and the D are within the range. They're both a higher low and a lower high. So you're basically like, it's like springing. Price is just like springing and ready to spring to a direction, right? Versus on, if we take the same range here, and you can see how the X to A, I don't know, it's just much different type of structure. You see that? Like, it's not the same thing. So there's not as clear, concise of a stop loss. This was easy because if your D target is here, your stop was easily above the X. You see how you had a very defined area here, okay? But when you're let me remove this. When your entry is up here and there's nothing above you, you see your X is below you. So you needed some protection up there that doesn't exist in a world where it does on a Gartley. So certain structures are even better to trade than others. Okay, let me actually do that one more time. So let me show you one more thing. Okay, so being that was more clear here, when you enter a trade on a Gartley, you are looking much tighter just to one specific 786 fib range to enter, and that would be a bearish Gartley, you know what I mean? That would be a short play right there, something like that. But on this, what we often find is these ones that don't have ceilings. Okay, so this ends up being the pattern completion zone. Okay, so let's see. So it's like this. So you have a PRZ. Pattern completion zone. Okay, so this ends up being typically just like radar, right? But what also happens is you end up putting in a slightly higher high sometimes, and that's what Scott Carney will call like the more of the optimal entry. So where one was the completion zone, right? The other becomes the optimal entry almost. Whoops, sorry. The optimal entry, right? So that's the difference here, where this one, there's a completion zone here. There isn't an optimal entry on behind it, right? There's simply just a stop. Where here, there's an entry higher than the completion zone, okay? So this is a different type of structure on a harmonic, okay? So the one on the left, that's how a crab and a butterfly react, okay? So, and when price, basically, you know, you have this dump, initial X, you retrace, you put in the higher low, you come all the way up and you hit the completion zone, you sell off just a little bit, you get the initial reaction, but then you come back up into it again, okay? And right there, that's where you're on the oscillators, you're creating the divergence the bearish divergence here, okay? So that's you kind of need that to happen. So basically on price or your oscillators now, you would have came up on, you would put in this big green oscillator, you would hit that top island on the D, and you would have sold off a little bit, hit this little dip, but then as you came back up and you put in the higher high up there, the oscillator would have put it in the lower level of positive momentum, and that's where you would have had your bearish divergence from here to here, okay? I hope that kind of makes sense. So now let's go look at it in real time and see what happened to it, okay? So let's see. Let's check this out. Something like that. Something like that. Okay. Okay, so we hit our completion zone, right? We hit our PRZ. Sorry, let me leave that here. And I will just make another one. Okay, so we hit our completion zone right there. Okay. And same thing. Let me just click on that. There's our completion zone 1618. PRZ pattern reverse pattern completion zone. PRZ PCCs, you're seeing the same thing, okay? Pattern completion zone. Then we proceeded to put in the, now what's the higher high here, okay? And that higher high is now that kind of that optimal entry we talked about, okay? So that's where, I mean, I layered in before it and through it. I know you guys saw, you could go back up in the alts channel and you'll see that on Binance I layered before from the basically the 1414 1272 area through the 1618. So as far as I was concerned, I basically said I'll go ahead and just take me all that, anything in there you want to give me, I was planning to take it, okay? So now targets to the downside. How do we get down, okay? So what we're looking for here is a break in price. We're looking for this swing high to be in, okay? So if the swing high is in, let me take this to the back side and we'll go off the front side here. Take this to the back side. So remember this next time, okay guys? Next time you see a butterfly or a crab and we hit a 1618, yeah, get a little bit of size going here, but keep layering behind it, and ultimately our stop would have been higher, more at like 450, right? See this? How up here we have this 1618 or 3618 at that's not the one I marked. Not sure why that one hit there. Let me see where this came from. Let me mark another one from here. Somewhere we got that 450. Interesting. Okay, so long story short, watch out for this, okay? Just watch out for the optimal above the completion on a crab, on a butterfly. What we're doing now is we're going to fib from the previous C to what's our new high, okay? And that's how we're going to layer out. So take profit target 1, 50%, take profit target 2, 618, take profit target 3, would now come down here and be the 786. And something else you might want to note is that look at these critical areas, okay? So target 1 was this previous kind of chop, right? The symmetrical chop 1. Also previous high right here, previous high, also previous high. So look at all the coinciding variables at target 1. You see that? If I were target 1 and I was this white line and I was these highs here, you see how all these things are aligning, this previous high, previous high, previous high. So all that chop, that's why you get target 1 there. Target 2, same thing. Again, look at all this same thing happening here. You got a B high, previous high, back test, ends up being the 618, okay? 618, target 2. And target 3 then being the previous neckline, okay? Previous neckline, also a square up area, and a 786. So again, we're looking for these variables that align as we go to take targets back to the downside, okay? So that's what I'm looking for on BNB still. I don't know. Yeah, it gets scary when you get to these areas where you're basically buying the dang absolute blow off tops here, okay? This thing is look at this. It hit this bottom and just took off. You know what I mean? So to buy this area here and try and get price to hold and reverse, you know, that's not for everybody, right? That's not for the weak-handed by any means, okay? So that's why you get just, I know you guys were on edge last night, and okay, so look, if you're on edge, if you feel when you're entering a trade here and you're on edge and you can't sleep, you're over leveraged. It's plain and simple. If you're not over leveraged, then you're over positioned, which means too much of your portfolio percentage is in that one position. So if you're not one, you're the other, and if you're not the other, you might even be both, over positioned and over leveraged. That's what makes you nervous. Instead, every time I give you one of these, put 3% in of your stack. By the time a couple months go by, you're gonna have 60-70% of your stack in play, but it's going to be across 40 different harmonics, and you're going to be able to allow them to play out because you're not over positioned, you're not over leveraged, you're in several trades, they're all playing out at different times, so you have action always happening. Yeah, a few of them get stopped out, you reevaluate those. All you did was lose 1 R on 3%. Nothing happened to you, right? But the ones that run, you let runners run, and being lower leverage, you wouldn't have been so concerned with those potential areas, right? Like Bitcoin 58.4, you wouldn't have been as concerned with it if you were lower leveraged as a higher leverage trader. So you got to learn though, got to learn the hard way on that one. YFI approaching critical overhead resistance where you had this previous high. Okay, so this would have been a target area. Target area 2 would be up here. Okay, so what are we looking at here? We're looking at this kind of same thing where we have this structure of price making these higher lows and higher lows, right? We were looking for this one to come down in here, and we got it, but it was just really tight and close little low, tiny little low like that. So anyways, measured move, Bukowski measured move here. You could take this conservatively again. So by conservative, I mean you're not taking the absolute bottom like you could. So if we were taking the absolute bottom target, absolute bottom greedy guy is this. Conservative target is this. Okay, which guy do you think which guy won? You see what I'm saying? If you take that conservative move, you fill. You take the aggressive move, you have to ride another dip. Yeah, eventually you're gonna fill, but this guy, conservative guy, took it twice. When aggressive guy took it once, conservative guy made more money. Okay, who made more money, right? Compounding gains or one runner. But anyways, we don't like to swing in there, but if you would have sold, you would have been out of the position. You could have seen this back test happen. You see this back test happen here, and maybe you could have refilled. You know what I mean? Potential area to look back to refill, especially if all your money's on the sideline again for this particular position. That being said, those are just target kind of initial. This is still going to harmonic. X, A, B, C. Again, this is going to be a butterfly type situation where you're gonna hit a 127. All right, let me show you on the fibs. So if we outlay these fibs from X to A, first area, see how it's easier to paint the harmonic when you have the fibs there? You could just go right to it and you don't have to like look as hard over here and make it line up. So 1272, definitely area of interest. Okay, so next area of interest is going to be the top of that previous all-time high here, Wi-Fi 52,800. I think that's all-time high. Next area of interest will be 58.8, so basically 60,000. Wi-Fi will go to 60,000, watch. Then it's going to go to 63,400, and then ultimately it's probably going to go to 68,700. This is saying that Bitcoin, oops, not the one I wanted to delete. I wanted to delete the fib, not the harmonic. Okay, this is saying that Bitcoin's at 68 to like 73,000 though, okay? In order to get up here, 1618. And that being said as well, if we get it, what did we just talk about with 1618? We said that the D will be the completion zone, right? So we're gonna have the D be the completion zone. I'll make it a little bit smaller here. Completion zone will be here, right, at D. So do we want to take that? Sure. I mean, I'm gonna probably start layering in, but again, this is why we layer, right? Because we talked about a more of a potential also optimal zone, right? So, oops, why did that? I wanted to clone it. So this up here being even more of a the optimal zone. Okay, so if we got the optimal zone, that's the area maybe we finally see. But this is more of your short entry, not necessarily your take profit targets. That's up to you though, how you want to play this. But I mean, see how good you are, test how good you are at trailing stops, right? Start your stop here. Every time you get a discernible low, you just keep bringing this stop up, use the neckline, use the hidden bull, use the next target, use the top of the previous all-time high, use the 1272, use the 1414, and then see if you could use the 1618 and fill some at the optimal. If you do that, I mean, that's how legends are born, right? But you know, that takes some diamond hands right there. So let's see. And it also takes very, very good trade management, right? So you got to be able to be moving those stops optimally, right? Keyword keeps being optimal. You don't just want to move them to any area. You need to strategically move them based on a lower time frame swing low failure pattern, identifying a low pivot point, finding these anchors, and moving your stops accordingly. Eventually you're going to get wicked out. It is what it is. Reevaluate. When you get stopped out like that on something, I don't like to even really look back at this for at least a day or two, because if I stay looking right at it, that's what people call revenge trading. Even though you won, you got stopped out in profit, you're still mad because you got stopped out. Like, right? So you don't want to be trading emotionally. You want to be trading, methodically, robotically, right? With an edge. A revenge trader that's all riled up, he's not trading that way, okay? So that's what they're trying to do to you. Again, we need to be playing, getting our mind right is more important here than getting this trade right. This trade is 40%, okay? The other 60% is the mental. So if this is that important to hit this area, and I'm telling you that this is only 40% of your battle, the other 60% lives within your head. So if you feel that this is very important in your trading success, just know that you're leaving the even more important part untouched, and you're not working on, you're only working on the technicals. You need to spend 40% of your time that you spend in trading knowledge, soaking that shit up, spend 40% learning harmonics and fibs and Bukowskis, and spend the other 60% getting your mind right. Okay, that's what duck does, at least. What is going on here with this shitcoin called Dash? Jesus. Okay, so this guy is breaking out. We took some kind of re-entry again off this bottom here where you found support that was previous resistance, SR flip. Now you're targeting to sweep the highs. Okay, so target one is going to be some kind of, it's got to be some kind of measured move here. Let's check the measured move from the previous low. This one was much easier to get a measured move because you basically had equal lows. See, so this measured move, it's the same. So you don't have to scratch your head on which way to take it. So if I took, excuse me, this measured move, we bring it up, and basically where we're getting this target area from. Let's also layer these fibs, excuse me, from high to low. And yeah, so see, we got these area where we have a 786, and we kind of have this measured move front running that measured move. That's where we lined up our target one. So we're about there. We're about to hit it. This, ideally, this maybe sells off just a wee bit here, but then runs up again, hits it. Dash has some work to do still, though. You got to still break this overhead resistance area here. I think again we were targeting like a 886 maybe. 886 target 2. Not sure why that moved on us. Might have been from a higher area, but let's bring that down. Target 3 is good, 1272, so that one's good. Okay, so this is a double bottom that's equal. So a harmonic, again with a harmonic, you like to see, you know, that initial impulse, you kind of come back up, but you like to see that this C pivot here making a higher low. But see, this one, it's an equal low. You either want that lower low or that higher low, but you don't want that equal low. When you have that equal low, it's not really a harmonic anymore. It's more of just a double bottom measured move structure, right? So can you hit these other targets? Sure. But on Dash, to be honest, I mean, unless you just want to keep trailing this, let it hit target 2, trail again, see what happens. If you can get target 3, bring this up to target 2, and then just play this as a stop loss kind of trailing game. And, you know, again, you're watching Bitcoin and some of the other, but, you know, these altcoins are reacting on their own time. Some have already played out, some have not even reached the neckline, some are down here, some are hitting targets, some have played out and are reversing. So they're all in their own little zones, which is why we diversify. And, you know, as one hits a target, you take that money and you move it back into one that hasn't even played out yet, right? Because you're buying in still at that low area of low risk, high reward type of area, okay? Moving along to Chainlink. Okay, so again, Link, we had that low on price. We put in that higher low. We're continuing to put in these higher lows on price. We had this low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher lows, right? So we were looking for a low here off of this trend line, and it looks like we basically got it, right? And now you're basically consolidating at the SR flip, okay? So what was once resistance, 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 failed, resistance. Finally, you flip this now to basically support. So that is good sign for continuation here to the upside on Link. So what we'd be looking for now is measured move targets. So if you look at this kind of area there that we made our neckline, whatever you want to call this here, I'm basically taking this measured move from the lows, right? That one's almost this low here. Taking this low to this neckline area. We then paste that, clone it, bring it up, right? That's how we end up in those areas. This is also a 1272 area, which is right there. So you basically have this area between a measured move and a harmonic butterfly target PCZ, right? 1272. So again, we got to remember on these butterflies, they go from a 1272 fib extension to the 1618. Okay, so they start 1272. Okay, it goes live. So we got to note that area because it could sell off from there. That could be it. That could be the top. But we also know that in extremely bullish conditions, that this potentially could go as high as here, 1618, right? And not only can it go to the 1618, but the 1618, again, remember the 1618 is what? It's the completion zone. So we call that the completion zone. Let's clone that, bring it up here. So that is a pattern completion zone, remember? But what do we keep talking about? We keep talking about there's still an optimal. So potentially you even get an optimal up here even higher than the 1618, and we will call that the optimal entry, and it'd be something like this. Okay, so basically this is why you don't want to ape short too soon, right? Yes, this can happen, but so can this. So anything in here, that's why these dang butterflies that have these wide ranges that are between the 1272 and a 1618 can be dangerous, versus a Gartley that's very defined, right? The Gartley's very, very defined as where we're entering the trade. The Gartley's not really messing around here. Okay, so it's got an entry that's very defined, and then from there it has a very defined basically point of failure where you would stop above, right? So the Gartley versus the butterfly, this sucker ranges, the Gartley sticks. Okay, there's no range to the Gartley. 786. And what's the key? The B is a 618. The range on the Gartley is here, from a 382 to an 886 on the C. There's your range on the Gartley. But there's no range on the D. Okay. All right. Ethereum Classic, we're hitting the 1414. So from your X high anchor point to your A low, Ethereum Classic approaching 1414. So target 1 was a measured move, target 2 was a 1272. You are now painting, sorry about that. You are now painting a third target, 1414, which is up here. Is that? Let me make sure I didn't delete the wrong fib. I'm messing us all up here. Okay, yeah, so target 2, target 3 is 1414. Target 2 was 1272. It's been hit. Target 1 measured move, and if you wanted to, like I said, you have a moonbag target 4. Moonbag. Okay, so that's how you would layer out on, what is this? Ethereum Classic. So we got another one here. We got this one that's been hit. Up here we got even another one that hasn't been, of course, hit yet. But yeah, that's the one. Watch out for it. Okay, so that's how Ethereum Classic would look. We'll just have to see. Again, this to get up here at this moon bag, ideally you need Bitcoin to keep running, and right now it's been running, so you might get it. You might get it. Let's see, clean that up a little. All right, so Ethereum Classic, ultimately you're looking for $23. Anywhere in these $20 though, 20 to 23 should have been your take profit, because if you entered Ethereum Classic, you got in at $11 or $12. So to say that you're exiting between 20 and 23, you know, it's like on Wolf of Wall Street when he's like, Disney, I got you in at 37, I got you out at 65. Come on, you know what I mean? Got Ethereum Classic, I got you in at 11 or 12, got you out at 20. Let's go. All right. Measured move, maker incoming. Looks like we ran up, failed, came back, held against that neckline for a while, failed again, and now we're just basically, we just can't seem to get out of this chop, right? Just rangy choppiness. It's also what appears to be a pretty significant probably range middle point there. Yeah, so basically our target area here is targeting the top of the range, which is this measured move. If we took this from the whole structure, I bet you that it is the top of the range. Let's see if we took that. Yeah, exactly the top of the range. See that? It's like you're playing kind of almost Tetris with this shit. To an extent, some people call those loom lines. Okay, so that's ideally, look, it's just big range, right? So you just label this, sorry, range low. That's how we would define this. Okay, guys, so this would be the range low. What I like to do also, let me get rid of this neckline. Let's just watch it as the range only. Okay, so if I were only the range, and it's really easy bottom, because again, see these double bottoms where you had this low here and another low, equal lows on price basically. So when you have equals like that, you know, it just makes it really easy to define your risk here. So this would be the range midpoint. Okay, midpoint of the range. And also I like to just, you know, make that a little more clear. Range midpoint, and then this is the range high. Okay, yeah, can we take this up here? Sure, but I kind of like this area here a little more, just because it was just more defined. See, those are kind of just, this was really defined, and see how these lows, this is just more defined for the range midpoint, low point, high. So if we just got rid of that, even make it easier for your eyes to see. Okay, we're targeting the range high. Okay, that's all you got to worry about. When price goes up, finds the high, comes back down, finds the low, goes up, tests the midpoint, comes back down, finds the low again, back to midpoint. If you hold the midpoint, you get the high. If you fail at the midpoint, you go back to the low. And the reason that would be scary is because, again, remember, we always talk about these, we keep hitting stuff like 3 times where, what is that? Oh, no wonder. Okay, so we keep hitting these areas that, so this would be area, you know, once, right? So that's not good when you do it once, twice, and at this point, if we come back down and we get this range low again, you're gonna be in big trouble. Okay, so if this fails here and sells off, you're gonna lose it. Okay, so you need to hold it and you need to go back to the highs. Okay, very important here area for maker. And again, where are we? We just said this. We're at the range middle. So in the range middles are not where we find trades, because your potential upside here, your potential upside here in price action to the upside is equal risk as your downside, right? So that's a coin flip. There's no edge on a coin flip. Your edge was taking the range bottom, right? You wanted to buy the bottom of the range, targeting the top. First, you could have targeted the mid-range, right? And then you could have then from there, if the mid-range holds, your next target's the top of the range. And that's what we're doing with this measured move here, right? We're taking that measured move and we're using it to target the top of the range. Top of the range, you just have orders layered out, okay? So that's where we are on Maker. If we're gonna see higher prices, you first obviously need to make your way to the range, but then you need to break above and create a SR flip at the range high, okay? Reef. Okay, Reef. So Reef is, yeah, I mean, you had this nasty little fail here, but ultimately, again, those happen on purpose. You know, those are really bad, just kind of areas to shake people out. And it sucks because if you entered here and it ran up, this basically made it feel like you were going to come all the way back down to get stopped out. But right before it does that, it turns and runs. So it just it like gets you to panic, absolute max panic. But look, what you always end up doing is just simply a square up. You see this square up area here? So if I were let me get rid of this. If I was a square up and I was down here, you see, sorry, to make that straight. You see how trader or the exchanges just brought that price back down to a square up area? It was also probably a significant fib from the low to the high. Yeah, look, 886. Square up the 886. You know what I mean? So if you knew about that kind of thing, you wouldn't panic about it. Stop would be below that low. So yeah. You know what else happens there when you have like some kind of 886, X, A, B, C, D, and that's where you're getting this breakout that's happening right now, okay? Low time frame. So what's above us now? Looks like we have this previous resistance area here that we have to break through. If we can get that, again, that's like our range to an extent. It's not as defined here because we had this low and a higher low. We're on Maker. This low here for X was here, is down here, is this equal low. So let's just look at it more like this. If this was your low and this was the high up here, right? That's kind of making that range middle again. So again, we need to get back up on price here and we need to reclaim that range middle. So maybe you get a little sell-off again, but either way, you need to get to that middle point and you need to flip that middle and then you could target the highs, okay? So range low, so you have the low, you have the middle, and you have the high, okay? Let's see if Reef has it in the tank or not. What is this guy? Zcash. Whoa, Zcash. Easy, fella. See, this is what I'm talking about. That's what's gonna happen when you break that. When it breaks, it goes. It goes. You swept the highs. Once you sweep the highs, see how you fail? But then you run again. But that's why we take profit. As soon as we sweep the high, we take profit. What happened there? Excuse me. Okay. What happened there was a pretty standard head and shoulders looking type of structure developed, where you had a high on price, you made a higher high on price, tweezer double top, then you continue to make a low on price. This is basically, I don't know. I basically think B and B is right here, to be honest. But we'll see. That's what I'm kind of expecting on it. Maybe it's happening while we're talking. We don't even know it. Okay, so you sold off. You kind of came back, squared up this area down here. Probably just made an 886 or something. 786, watch. Yeah, 618. Same thing. Critical fib, right? 786, 886, 618, 786, 886, critical fib levels. All right. So what are we looking at here is we were looking at a measured move of the structure from the low conservative target, measured move. We would bring that up, and look, we hit the measured move. We also swept the highs, okay? So if I were the highs here, what was the price on previous highs? Looks like it was right there. So check this out, guys. So we take this measured move from the higher low because it's more conservative, right? If we would have taken it from here, we would have gotten wrecked, right? Here, let's look at that again. If we take the deeper, more aggressive move, and we would have brought that up, we would have never gotten our fill. Well, we would have gotten it the second time. That's why I tell you that. You conservative guy fills, gets a sell-off, resets again, and he gets another run at it. But aggressive guy had to withhold this. And sometimes you buy this right here. You buy this breakout, and you almost wait for a backtest all the way at entry. So you better off have been waiting and not bought this. You would have been better off waiting for this and not giving yourself this stress level unless you took profit, right? So conservative guys, let's get rid of aggressive guy because we're going to get rid of him mentally too, okay? Okay, so conservative guy right here, he hit his measured move, and look where his measured move was. The double top, right? Where traders could not close, candle close above that area. And they basically double topped at 200 exactly on Zcash, and then proceeded to sell off. And that sell off wasn't pretty. You sold off 20%, right? So 20% discount on Zcash, reload the farm, swing low failure where you had a low on price, lower low, higher low, swing low failure at the 618, send it, right? Now you're proceeding to top out again, but I think you still probably have a little bit in the tank here. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Let's fib again from our previous discernible high to the low. And look, you're running out of steam at the 1414. You're below it. But maybe you just come back down. Sorry about that. Let me have to fib that again. Ideally, what I was about to say is you're going to come back down from the 1414, back test the 1272. Because see, when you got to the 1272, you didn't even regard it. You just sent it. So maybe you're going to regard it in the form of support, right? And that's where you get the steam to go up here. You end up putting in the, okay, so why I just drew it like that is, again, the 1618 is the target, the green line, right? That's the target. What is the higher high? That's the optimal entry, right? The OE. So the OE is the blue line. The 1618 is the green line, the target, right? So the green line here is the PRZ 1618. Golden mean ratio, okay? That's Fibonacci shit, okay? So that's the golden mean ratio. Target 1618 was 243. Optimal entry, it was going to be somewhere above it. You know what I mean? It's not a defined price. It just, ideally what you're doing here is as you got to somehow create the divergence, right? And you can't do it when you keep putting in higher highs, because that's not divergence, that's convergence. The divergence is on the back end when you put in the lower high, right? Or no, you create it on this side. It's on, that's what the optimal entry is for. Exactly for that, creating the divergence, okay? Where you put in the lower is on the oscillator, right? So you would have been coming up on this first one and then sold off a little bit to the touch back to 1272, and then when you put in that higher one to get to the optimal entry, that's where the oscillator diverges on you at that point, right? So ideally we'd be looking for it there instead of on the backside. So if I was Zcash and I was some kind of a harmonic, previous double top X high, A, B, range middle, higher low, C, 886, target 1618, golden mean ratio, right? So I'm in this area here, 1618, up in that area, okay? Golden mean ratio, completion zone, target area, bring it over here, target area, all that good stuff. Okay guys, that's Zcash, ultimately 235, maybe you short, front run 250, psychological round number. AVAX, this is what I'm talking about. Some trades have played out, some trades have not. Where on others, you know, you're already achieving targets 1, you're achieving target 2, you're hitting on BNB, you're already hitting the golden mean ratio and the optimal entry. You see how some assets are at an area of low risk to high reward, while on BNB's at an area of high risk, low reward, because there's not much more upside. Everything's in the downside on BNB. I mean, if you're a shorter, that's obviously, I'm not talking in terms of shorters, I'm talking about a retail Coinbase trader or something, right? So they can't short, they're just trying to buy things that go up only, right? That's the only way they can make money. So from here, ideally, even if you entered right this very second as we're speaking, okay, you could do some kind of, maybe even you keep it down here for now, below the previous lows for now, okay? So what would you have there? You would have 2 to 1. This is going to be more of a spot trade, but even spot allows for margin-ish. I think it's like 5x. Target 2 would be the high. And let's go find ourselves a target 3 would be a new all-time high, okay? So how do we get those? Now we go back to the fibs and we go for coinciding variables. So we're gonna fib from the previous high to low, and let's start to line stuff up, okay? So let's maybe get conservative here, and let's go target 1, just hit the 1618, golden mean ratio, okay? Let's not even get greedy here. Let's take some off, because this thing has underperformed. It hasn't even moved yet. So there's no guarantee you're gonna get up here, okay? Now on this one, let's be a little more conservative again. Let's go to the 886. Here was perfect, okay? It fell right at the 1272. We're gonna leave you alone. And if you like moon bags, you could take and layer. See, you could be layering all of these. You could take targets, even target 4 here, and target number 5, 1618, golden mean ratio. No guarantee you get it, but at that point, you know, that's as you're hitting levels here, you just trail stops, right? Nothing you could do about it. You get good at trailing stops, right? Every time you check it, you just check your stop area, check price, check the macro, check Bitcoin, see if there's still room in the tank for things, and I mean, that's it. That's just how we play this game. There's perfection, yes, ultimately you can perfect it, but you know, not there yet, right? So keep riding the stop up. As a level appears claimed, you bring this to entry. As a target's hit, you bring this to the neckline. As another target's hit, you bring this to the first target. As a third target's hit, you bring this to the second target, and you just follow these all the way up like a step ladder, okay? And then eventually, you know, price is gonna come, Price is going to come up, hopefully claim this level, hit that target 1, hopefully claim the level target 2, claim level target 3. Eventually though, it's going to fail. And somewhere you get stopped, you know, somewhere your stop gets hit. You don't get stopped out down here, right? You get stopped up here somewhere as you're trailing. So AVAX, it'd be more of a spot bag, something I would just throw in the tank on spot and just throw a stop down here below this previous low. And just, I don't know, see how this one plays out. Nothing's happening yet, right? It's upsloping, so you're eating at the supply, but ultimately you have to break the neckline at $36. $36 is critical, and not only is it critical to break it, we have to break it and then back test it, and then we can go, right? So a couple things have to still happen on AVAX. Band, okay, so this is where you were on AVAX, right? AVAX is still down here. You got to break that neckline and then hold it convincingly, back tested it right here, and then continuing to go up, right? So you know, this stop would have started down here. You would have rode this stop up once here. Once you got this back test, now the stop should be the neckline. Once you get and reclaim and hit target, if you can get back above that take profit target level, right, and hold that, that's when you could then move your stop up now to this level. And then ultimately you're looking for $18, $23 on band. See if you can get it, right? So far it's looking good though. If you would have entered down here, right, if that would have been your entry on the higher low, should have been something we'd have been worried about. And now that you guys are seeing this, it's kind of like you need to see these patterns paint, right? So now I've showed you guys, all right, we've painted these patterns. We've identified these higher lows, these structures, how we measure moves, how they develop harmonics, all that good stuff. Now, next step is you need to see them play out back the other way and convince yourself that they didn't just erupt to, you know, way up here, right? Because then you'd be like, oh, screw those stupid patterns. They don't reverse. Yeah, maybe they're good for your bull side, but you're not gonna be convinced about the harmonic side on the back end. So let's see these things back test. Kind of like we're basically about to maybe see, right? So if we can see this, you know, it played out, let's see if we can hit these targets now on this back side, right? So we played out 1618, hit the completion zone, we got it, we hit the optimal entry, we've gotten it. This explains probably more to you guys now why I was layered like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of why I went over that with you guys tonight. I know it didn't make sense to some people asked why I layered outside the 1618. Some people asked, where does it finally invalidate? Just, you know, all those various questions that I understand. I get it. So, all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the late night Saturday stream, kind of unconventional time frame. We're gonna get better with structure on things as the stream improves, the quality of the stream improves, the visuals of the stream, the music, the fan background noise gets canceled, all that good stuff. So anyways, I guess, yeah, we'll call that for now. I'll post some of these charts in the chat later. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that stream. Peace.